Hey, my lovely, lovely, wonderful people. A pleasant evening to everyone. Ladies, this video is particularly for my women. If you look at the historicity of women, unfortunately, we have had a bad rap, as they would call it. Women were considered almost insignificant in comparison to men. I did a video, when it concerned, when back in the day when you talked about somebody who is critical, like a critical thinker or a knowledge person, or if you're talking about wise information or knowledge, they were referring to men, in particular white men, and then they stratified. But women were never a part of it, you know and the kind of work, when I say work, that they did, it was made to be subpar. So the domesticated work, was treated as though you are almost nothing, like a piece of lint or a bottle cap. And it would want to almost using the worst case scenario to make you feel like the scum of the earth. Women were subjugated, you know they were devalued. There was a point when women could not even vote. Can you imagine that? Human being like that of their male counterpart. But there was a time when women could not vote. And women understood this, and that is why you had the rise in feminism. And you have the breakaways, because you have radical feminism, black feminism, and the other kinds. But all in all, it is speaking out against dominance, which is really patriarchy, colonialism, coloniality, imperialism, things, where it makes the woman seem inferior while the men seem superior. And today we have that kind of battle. If I were to use the scriptures, if you look at the book of Malachi, which was like hundreds of years, 400 and odd years before you see the book of Matthew. So though you see Malachi, then Matthew, it's not like they're right after each other. In those days, men would divorce their woman for frivolous things. So if she sneezed and he didn't like it, he divorced her. If he was in a meeting with men and she came and so-called disrupted the meeting, he would divorce her. She's on her period, didn't tell him, and he was looking to put his anatomy in hers, he would divorce her. So frivolous things. So again, another way using, religion to, and at that time using the religion to subjugate women. And I would believe that in this 21st century, even the modern aspect of the 21st century, because I don't even remember when it began, but the 21st century has been around a little while. And even if you don't know the full gamut of the subjugation of women, I want women to reach a point where they no longer take that kind of maltreatment, that kind of tyranny, that kind of violence, that kind of mayhem. When God made man, as in man and woman, at no point did he say, you are superior men, and women, you are inferior. At no point. He gave us leadership. We are like co-leaders. The men lead in a particular way, as you would say, like almost like the gatekeepers, the safeguarder, the protector, the provider. The woman, she leads in terms of managing the household. You're right. So she's like a manager of the household, ensuring that the children eat properly, they go to school, they take their bath, the homework is done, and so on. And the men are the disciplinarians. They teach. They guide the children in terms of their self-esteem, while the woman guides them in terms of having mercy and compassion. So they're balancing the logic with the emotion, and they have sold a story that logic is far more important than emotion, as if to say God didn't make both of them. It's almost like you're saying your hands are more important than your feet. It's just about balance in both, phenomena. Let's put it that are both hypotheses. Ladies, do not let anybody dumb down who you are. You are made in the image and the likeness of God. He did not separate or created a dichotomy to say it's men who are made in the likeness and the image of God. He did not say that we all, both men and women, were made in the image and the likeness of God. When he said he made, initially, when he said he made man, he said it was a good thing. Though after when they had sinned, he said, boy, it's almost I can regret it. But the point that I'm making is that God made man and woman having different roles, but to be on an equilibrium. Listen keenly again. Playing different roles, but to be on an equilibrium. So women, don't allow anybody to make you feel less than. One of the biggest places that tend to do that is the church, unfortunately. They do it. Have you ever noticed another way of subliminally tearing down women? When they talk about dress code, it was always in relation to women. Always. Oh, the skirt is too tight. The skirt is too short. The skirt, and they preach an entire sermon creating a vitriol around women, and other women join in. And it's ironic. Let me make a juxtaposition. When we talk about, oh, men are dogs, men don't like that conversation because they make it sound broad brush, and it's almost a sort of a subliminal and an over tear down of men, and to tear down their manhood. Similarly, women, it's the same. It tears down our womanhood. We shouldn't even allow it. Notwithstanding, I'm not saying that people must dress impily, skimpily in churches. You have organizations and entities that require a particular kind of dressing. So you would dress a little bit more covered in church where you're not so exposed. You understand what I mean? But even when the woman is not necessarily in a tight, I can tell you that, when the clothing is not tight or short or exposing, revealing their boobs, for example, but because they're fashionable and they look good, they also try to make you feel bad. So another way that they come and try to subjugate you through their narcissistic ways, or the woman is a Jezebel because she has on makeup, she has on jewelry, and it's all about fashion for her. She's not spiritual. You hear the nonsense and the madness and the foolery. I never forgot, years ago I went to the hairdresser and I had on my usual shorts because I love shorts and jewelry and so on, which I love jewelry. And I remember I wanted the lady to bring me, and I went in and I saw a woman. So she would be the typical of what people would call Christian, based on Jamaicans' perception of how a Christian ought to look. So her hair was natural, the natural kinky hair, what they call kaya head, boro head, picky hair. She had on a long skirt and a blouse. So I too thought it was a Pentecostal Christian. I really thought. And I never forgot she was telling the hairdresser her situation, and she really have some bad word. No, it's not just about the bad word. It's the fact that she say, much time me hear them I say Christian. I told them no say me no Christian. Me just not like jewelry. Me not like makeup. Me not like whatever else she say. Me I'm a man, this, that, and that was because Peter struggled with cursing a lot of bad words, so it's not so much about that. But I mean, when it became excessive, something is off, and then you hear the rest of the conversation, and she clarified that she was not a Christian. That was like she was the first, and then I think I saw somebody else similar like that, and I said, I bet you, if you put me at that time with her and you ask 10 people which is a Christian, 9 out of the 10, 9.5 out of the 10 will say her. You see how life is? Women, do not allow people, men or other women, to subjugate you. God gave you your personality for you. Now, don't get me wrong. The Bible says be wise as serpents. You have to be smart. You have to follow protocol when you're in certain entities. But when you know that it is not something that breaches an order, or it is unlawful, or it is unethical, you're no pickney. Don't make anybody tell you how to dress. Again, as long as it is something that it follows protocols. I'm talking particularly if it is fashionable. Where them want you become unfashionable now. We're not talking about exposing your body or impily skimpily in church. No. I'm talking about when it is fashionable and they want you to become unfashionable. Do not allow anybody to subjugate you mentally, physically, emotionally, or any other way. Be you. That is why God made you the way he did. All right, ladies? You know what to do with TikTok and YouTube. Subscribe. Give me one of those lines and you can follow me on Instagram.